All right, sorry for the delay. I appreciate everybody's patience. We're now operating. So I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is the regularly scheduled Washington County Planning Board meeting, May 4th, 2023. Start with roll call, please. Sam? Oh, sorry.
Lauren Shackelford.
Here.
Philip Humbird. Here. G. Piercy. Here. Lisa Miller.
Here.
Joe Maynard.
Here. Neil Helm and Maria Banks, they're not here today.
Okay, so we do have a quorum. We have 5 voting members, so we do have a quorum. I will remind, conditional use permits take 4 affirmative votes. There's 5 of us here tonight. We do not have a zoning or board of adjustment meeting today, so this is strictly planning board. First thing I'm going to do is ask for approval of the minutes. The minutes were sent out in a previous email to everybody. Hopefully you've had a chance to review it. Any modifications or corrections? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Got a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, on the agenda tonight, we have conditional use permit Overby's Automotive, Fayetteville
Mr.
planning
Chairman.
area. We have Cedar Bell Wedding Chapel, CUP, in the Goshen planning area. And then we have the pre-LSD of that as well. Any changes or modifications to the agenda since it's been released?
No.
Okay. Yes, sir.
If I could, I'd like to say a little bit about Maria Banks. Why she is not here tonight. She had a brother that went into a hospice situation and died last Saturday, and just wanted for us to keep her in thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers for her. I appreciate that. Okay, if there's no changes to the agenda, I'll take a motion for approval of the agenda as stated.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as stated.
Got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, first item on the agenda is Overby's Automotive CUP. Applicant here. Okay? If you would please, I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start with staff review. I apologize.
Good evening, and thank you. A conditional use permit is sought for Overby's Automotive, which is a small automotive shop operated by father and son. The shop has been in operation since July of 2022, and this CUP is to establish compliance. The shop is 40 by 50 on about 0.37 acres with a gravel parking lot of 80 by 118 feet. The access is off of Tallgrass Road, south of Highway 16, and is in the Fayetteville planning area. To date, we've received mixed commentary from neighbors. Those in favor saying that the neighbors are good neighbors and that they're not aware of any detriment to their houses. Neighbors oppose site incompatibility with the residential subdivision, increased traffic by delivery vehicles, tow trucks, etc., diesel truck noise and exhaust, gravel, dirt, dust, decreased property value, pedestrian safety, and environmental concerns. Planning conditions recommended for approval would be that this is specifically for a mechanical shop, not for a salvage or retail operation. Don't allow vehicular fluids to drip to the ground. Facility not to contain salvage, non-drivable vehicles, and any further deviations would have to come before the planning board or planning office. It's been brought to our attention that there's a addition to the rear of the facility that encroaches within building setbacks. It's on a floating pad and not permanently attached to the facility, and the applicant's willing to demolish the structure to assuage neighbors and establish better compliance.
Any questions of staff at this point? Okay, now I'll bring it to applicant. If you would please come up, give us your name and address for the record, and tell us a little bit about your product.
My name is Braun Overby. I reside at 935 South Liberty Drive, just real close to where the shop is located. This is my father's land. Listen, we're a small automotive repair facility. I mean, it's just father and son. Our shop building is very modern and clean. It's if you don't mind, I do have a little bit of a PowerPoint here that I can just start and play. There's the video initially, But then, and that's where I would just kind of like you guys to at least look at that part of the video, just the land, what we're surrounded by, and the beauty of it. My father, James, did it not play? Blake. Is it? Oh, it's playing up there. I'm sorry. My father, James, bought his city house on Tallgrass, then bought a city lot that runs the length of the pond. He eventually bought the county lot that we have built the shop building on. And this all happened over about a 20-year process. My father built this shop to convert a portion into an apartment for my younger brother who suffers from Asperger's syndrome. My brother is a good man, but he will never experience a normal life like most of us. My father also built this shop because he had one prior, at his prior house just down the road. His first shop, he utilized a portion of the shop building for his mother. Built an apartment for her also, just to keep him close. This is the same kind of scenario as that. He's just trying to give now both of his sons an opportunity. The business is 100% family owned and operated. James, my father, still works a full-time job, and I am the only one out there. Eventually, the goal would be to have him out there, father and son, working together. Because the building is well insulated, heated, and cooled, we can keep the shop doors closed most of the time. Therefore, noise doesn't radiate to the neighbors. The shop is also, he also built the shop facing the pond, which is my father's adjacent land. So any noise that will radiate or does radiate will radiate into more of a dead area, the pond. Initially, we did not know that we would need a permit to have a small business on county land. The only reason why I created an LLC was to pay taxes, and that was it. We knew that if we were going to do any commerce from the shop, the government would want their share. I was just trying to do the right thing at the time. We are a very small operation, mostly working on family and friends' vehicles. All we're asking for is the opportunity to make a living, to provide for our families, because this is the pursuit of happiness. And that's all I have to say at this point.
Thank you. So questions before I let you go. So you do, the business is just maintenance and repair of the
Yes,
vehicles? You
yeah.
don't do
We're-
any, go ahead.
We're personalized. I mean, we're specialized automotive repair. I mean, it's, maintenance, but we don't do body work. We don't do, it's just mechanical, electrical, and mechanical is what we do.
No underground tanks, no anything like that?
No, sir. Septic system, which is,
Yeah.
that we have to have.
Okay, all right. How many cars on average do you have on site that you're working on?
On average, I'd say 3. I might work on 1 car a week or a day, but that's a far stretch. I mean, we don't advertise. This is all word of mouth. It's the way we're going to build our best clientele is people that know us somehow. So, literally, if we have 3 cars, customer cars on that property at all times, I'm doing pretty good.
Are you the only full-time employee at the
I am the
site?
only one.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for the applicant, please?
What is going to happen when you're successful and you have a lot more customers than you can deal with?
Well-
Are you going to try to expand in this location as long as you can, move? What are those longer range plans if they come to fruition?
The long range plans would be to build clientele as we can. This is going to be a slow process because once again I'm not going to put up billboards and advertise all over the place. I'm just not going to do it. So we're building this pretty much organically. Eventually, if we get to the position to where we have enough clientele, the key is for my father once again giving me an opportunity to try to build what I can there and then be able to afford to purchase another piece of land, build a shop, or just buy an existing, shop around. That is my goal. There's no doubt about it. My dad's getting old. He's just ready to retire and be done with it. He built this for his sons. And my goal is definitely to do what I can there to provide and build. And then if we get big enough, I will find my own location. There's no doubt about that. Because we're kind of landlocked. We don't have a whole lot of space, so it's not like we can really add on to the shop too much. And I mean, we're only going to be able to do what we can do out there right now with being how small it is. And that's it.
Any other questions for the applicant at this time?
How did you end up here
In this system,
in this situation?
we had one neighbor that had a complaint about it, and that's, I mean, they kind of told you about the noise, this and that, gravel. Well, listen, I mean, we are in the county, and our land is beautiful. We maintain everything. We stocked the pond. My dad built the dam before he purchased that city lot that goes all the way down the dam. The dam broke out. He took his own time, his own money, his labor, and just went out there and fixed it because we love being out there. I mean, this is where we're going to be for a long time.
Yeah, the planning office was informed since like September 2020 about this, so.
But you weren't aware at the time that you opened this that you needed a conditional use permit?
We didn't. Listen, I never wanted to file for an LLC. I didn't want a business title. But somebody's going to want money if we're making it. Yep. You know what I mean? That's just all there. That's all there is to it. We're trying to do this the right way.
Okay.
And that's.
Okay. Any other questions of the applicant? All right, I appreciate it. I may bring you back after a while.
Yes, sir.
Question of staff, and I'm catching you moving. I apologize. I had one question before I open it up for public comment. So the actual structure, the carports, everything that's there would be within code. It's strictly the business use within the building that's requiring the conditional use permit. Is that correct? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, aside from the stuff like the additions to the building that's in the setback, that he agreed to remove them.
Okay.
Everything is okay.
Okay, all right, thank you. Would you come back to the microphone? I'm sorry.
With the setback, we did kind of understand what was going on there, but we did not attach it to the building structure itself. It is free floating. It could be removed, but that structure is my brother's back patio, and we would prefer to keep him out of the rain if he's cooking, steaks on the grill or something. That's the only reason why we built that, is just to give him a place to go out when the weather's like it is today.
But the setback is to property you don't, the other side of that fence is property you don't own, correct? That's not part of your dad's?
That would be Mr. Nations. He's a neighbor of ours.
Okay.
He owns a little county lot
Gotcha.
right there.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, I'm going to open it up for public comment. If there's anybody here that would like to make comments to this, please come up, state your name and address. You have 3 minutes to speak if you're speaking as an individual, 10 minutes if you're representing a group. I ask everybody to keep it civil and respect each other. Thank you. If you would, please state your name and address for the record.
Yes, sir. I'm Chris Rostek. I live at 1777 South Tallgrass Drive. I'm here to speak in opposition of the permit. I also have signatures here of neighbors who are also opposed to this permit. There's 7 of them. Unfortunately, some couldn't be here today. I also like to submit that to the board if I could. The auto repair garage is so close to the neighborhood that it will have an effect on its residents. It is 50 feet from the fence line of a resident in our neighborhood. Also, the only entrance to the garage intersects with a Tallgrass Drive. Our neighborhood is made entirely of single-family homes. There are no other businesses within this neighborhood. And the close proximity of this auto garage repair shop will negatively impact these homes in a number of ways. First, the auto garage will increase traffic and safety hazards for these residents. According to the garage's application, it's going to receive parts and equipment deliveries 1 to 2 times a day. They're also going to be using wreckers to deliver cars to the garage, as well as an oil disposal tanker truck to remove any used oil that the garage generates. All these trucks are going to be going up and down the road pretty far into the neighborhood. It's going to cause congestion, noise, as well as safety concerns for pedestrians, bikers, and motorists. Second, the presence of an auto body shop is going to drive our home's value down. A proximity to an auto repair shop could have negative effects on if we want to sell our home, because many potential home buyers aren't going to want to live next to a auto repair shop with the noise and the hazards and things like that. I also like to say that they mentioned that the noise is going to radiate out over a pond. Across that pond is other houses, other residents live there. So it's going to, noise travels over water. So I feel like the residents are going to hear that. Finally, allowing an auto repair garage to operate in our neighborhood could set a negative precedent for other businesses to come in and disrupt the aesthetic of our neighborhood. As I said before, we're nothing but like small single-family houses. No businesses are there, so it's going to disrupt the look of the neighborhood. So having an auto shop is not what's best for this neighborhood. It's going to increase traffic and hazards for the residents. It's going to make it harder for us to sell our homes if need be, and also it's going to disrupt the look of the neighborhood. That's why I and other neighbors request that you please vote no on this permit. Thank you. One final question. Do I need to turn this into you, or?
I believe that's, you gave that.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Is there anybody else here that would like to speak to this item? Hello, sir. If you would, please state your name and address for the record. Let's get your mic on. Hold on one second. And again, if you would, please state your name and address for the record.
Delvin Nation, 1760 Tallgrass Drive.
Yes, sir.
First of all, we had a PowerPoint presentation, and
We have it.
and you have it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. 3 minutes, I'll try to go over about 3 years, I guess. There is history to this. You know, it's the history started like in about September 16th, 2020. And I corresponded with Nathan out from the planning and wrote a list of concerns that I had in 2020, and received word back from Nathan through the county attorney that the use of the property would not change permanently if Mr. Overby occasionally works on a vehicle. Those were from the attorney back to Nathan. And then whenever Nathan relayed a conversation that he had with Mr. Overby, which said that he says he's building a shop building to work on cars, but not commercially. He said that he would work on personal and family cars, but wasn't going to go full commercial with the building. Now, this was a letter from Nathan Couch, planning. I didn't hear this conversation, but this was relayed to me, that this was what Mr. Overby said. And then there was a concern about drainage that I had, because the property that the sketch that he submitted shows the property draining toward my property, but his lines stop whenever it hits my property line. That drainage continues on across. And there's been, a swell, a small swell, but it doesn't, keep it from going across my property. So I still have that. Also, in the pictures that you have in this presentation, shows a lot more than 3 cars. I've counted, 10 or 12 cars. And in their application, they show on the parking lot 16 cars. If you look at your the site plan, and I'm not sure that it has had 16 cars, but it has had close to it. And of course, the other things that's in this packet, is the same thing that our neighbors have mentioned. And there is an increase in traffic and noise. We have, according to the LLC, we've had 7 months of examples, and I have taken pictures of the large tow trucks, loaded with vehicles. I've taken pictures of the lot, and you can count on the pictures. There's almost a dozen on them, and there's a picture of one of the tow trucks, and I know that they mentioned that they had 7 tow trucks, 5 to 7 tow trucks since their incorporation. I can't say that it would be any less than that, but I know that it has been that many, and that's just an occasional. Happen to have my camera and go into the mailbox and seeing one go by and take a picture of it. So I don't have anything other than what I have seen and what you see here. But it was a large operation starting in October, November, and December. It was a large operation. And that's when I started corresponding again with the Planning Commission, wanting to know what's going on. I went online. I found that they had become a business. And in the notes of the past Planning Commission, they said that they were not going to be full commercial. Well, they got a business license. And then I called O'Reilly's home office, and I said, can I have parts delivered to my house? And I got back, they said, no, you have to be a business. Okay, so this was going along. It is a business. It is a business. There are cars. There are tow trucks. There are O'Reillys. There are deliveries. This is getting a little out of hand in my mind. And so armed with, the 3 internet ads that are still online, Overbeast Automotive is advertised in 3 different places on the internet, where you can advertise your business. And with that, and with LLC, with all the traffic, the planning department did decide that it was a business and it did need to go before the CUP. So they can't say we're not going to do these things, because you have, since October, they have done everything, and you've got photographs. And
We've got copies of the emails as
and
well.
you've got, yeah, okay.
Yes, sir.
You've got 7 neighbors that signed the petition, and more that I haven't seen the list right now, but I know there's probably more than 7.
Appreciate your input. Thank you, sir.
Do
Appreciate your input, Mr. Nation. Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, anybody else in the public like to make comments on this item. If you would, please come state your name and address for the record. Give us your thoughts. You're still on. You're good.
Okay, great. My name's Samuel Davis, and we live at 1759 South Tallgrass Drive. My wife and I moved up here 20 years ago. We've been in the neighborhood 20 years plus, and we've always enjoyed it. It's been a nice, quiet, family-oriented neighborhood, lots of young families, lots of older people also that have lived there for quite a few years. So it's a good mix. It's nice and quiet. I didn't know anything about this business going in until it was brought to my attention that that's what they had turned that shop into, was a business. We've noticed quite a few large record trucks going through. Disturbs the peace of the neighborhood. You know, concern about safety, those things can't stop quickly if a child or an older person is out there. I run a lot. I run the neighborhood all out there, and you know, that's a concern for me too. Running if, you know, big truck comes through and doesn't see me or something and hits me, it's you know, a big concern. The other thing, we do have that really nice pond out there in the back of the neighborhood. A lot of wildlife around there. We've always enjoyed that. We've had everything from deer to rabbits, geese, everything that stay there year-round. And with it being an auto repair shop and have used oil, I mean, y'all see in the news all the time, there's every day or every week there's something about an oil spill somewhere that would completely ruin the ecosystem around there. So I'm against it. Look, I'm all for people starting their own business. I'm all for small business. I've been in it myself, but it doesn't fit our neighborhood. It's just not what we need in there. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Appreciate it. Okay, anybody else like to comment? Okay, if you would, please come state your name, address for the record. And I think I have to punch the button to turn the microphone on. Yeah. Try the next one. There you go.
This one? Okay.
Yes.
I'm Sasha Beard. I live at 1792 South Tallgrass. And just so I understand, I submitted a letter. It was lengthy. I wanted to read it. I assume that the board got that, and
Yes,
you all have had an opportunity to read it. So really not much of a need to reiterate since you're the people that are making the decision on it. Just to let you know that I'm a little nervous. Sorry.
That's fine. You're doing great.
Of all of the people affected by this, it affects my lot and the lot to the north most because our properties are adjacent. I'm in lot 15, and the gentleman to my north is in lot 14. In looking at all of the legal records, at one time, this is, if you go through them, you see that it's incorporated into that lot, which means it's under the covenants and restrictions of Sequoia Meadows. And then there are times that the tract is separated. But that whole subdivision, we all purchased land there, and our houses are there because we thought that we were in a subdivision that would protect us from this kind of intermingling. And I too am in favor of small businesses, but not in my backyard. The other thing is, I'm so nervous. The other thing is that as I read through the application, there were steps to take, and I'm a lay person. I'm not the brightest person in the world, but before you dig, you have to do things. And before you're conducting business, it seems that there should have been application, hearing, listening to the neighbors, your approval, and then construction. And then as I read through the application, it's sort of like a lot of minimizing of what the impact actually is and things that you don't take into consideration if it's not in your backyard. Like an alarm going off, car alarms going off, door slamming. You take that and multiply it times 16 and it's an impact. as a neighbor, if someone has a football party or something, you expect that for that night, there might be extra cars on your street and noise, but not continuously. We all can make provisions for an occasional, but the hours of operation that are stated, there have been vehicles, if you're a person that works and your vehicle is going to get worked on, you would have to have that there before 8 o'clock. Also, there's been activity on weekends, and it's not why we purchased our houses, and we all thought that we were protected. And I do think that there's a real question that if someone is already conducting business without permission and without the approval, that the other aspects are going to be sort of loosely adhered to, and I don't want to have to police that. So I would have appreciated if we had all been, like, had a meeting. When I moved to that neighborhood, there was a list given to me with some popcorn with everyone that lives in the neighborhood and their email address and phone number. And I thought that was so nice, but no effort to try to discuss this with anyone was ever broached. And so now here we are having to deal with just the uncomfortability that someone has kind of taken advantage. So I would just ask you to think about whether or not this is in your backyard or not. And if somebody has already gone to the point of conducting business for a year and not talked to you about it, are they going to adhere to not spilling one drop of oil? Are they going to adhere to all of the other criteria that were a part of that application? And just overall, it's not what you would want in your backyard. And I mean, it's not, because it's just, there's places for that. They're commercially zoned. That's all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. All right, is there anybody else that would like to address the board on this item? If not, I'll close it for public comment and bring it back.
Guess I'll begin. You know, I think I understand the notion of not wanting things in your backyard. I really do. Especially, businesses. That's why I asked the question about growth. I suspect if you're any good at what you're doing and you have some persistence, that it will grow and you will move. And I might even suggest that all the neighbors flood him with business, so he has to move. Regarding the drainage comment, the drainage is there whether it's going to be an automotive shop or not. So there's some of the things that, roads are for traffic. County is a place of freedom, one of the last places for freedom. I'm all for small businesses. If it was between two houses in a garage in a normal neighborhood development, and he was doing it between two houses right next to him, that might be an issue. But I think that starting businesses are good for this country. Residents can have the opportunity to look into the neighborhood covenants and pursue that angle if they need to. But I don't believe it's the county's job to tell people what to do with their land.
Well, the way I saw it was that y'all wanted a shop, you built one, and then you decided to make a business out of it sometime later, and that you didn't come and ask permission or get approval. I don't know if it's permission, but it's approval. And I have a real problem of just because it's there, we're going to intrude on the neighbors, and it's a real problem with me to have this behind. I wouldn't want it behind my house, although when I grew up in Bentonville, the guy behind me had a shop like that, and he was always working on somebody's cars, usually mine. So
unless your car was broken down.
Yeah. So it's a very hard thing for me, but I won't be approving it or voting for it. So thank you.
Okay, I'll point out to the board again, the structure itself is not the question. The question is the commercial use of the structure. The structure, the ingress egress, the water runoff, everything, it's there with the building. The issue at hand is whether or not we approve the conditional use to allow them to continue to operate the existing building as a business.
Yeah. In addition to the stuff like in the setback, they're not supposed to have it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments? Anybody want to formulate a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the CUP.
We have a motion for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
We got a motion and a second. I guess we'll do roll call on this one, please.
Lauren Shackelford,
Yes.
Philip Humbard. No. Neil Ham. Not here. Jay Piercy,
Yes.
Lisa Miller,
No.
Joe Maynard.
Yes.
Okay, so it's a 3-2 vote. Conditional use permit.
Required, conditional use permit requires like the majority of the body, and like we normally have 7, so we should have at least like 4 yeses. So at this point, it's like denied.
It didn't. It fails on a 3-2
Yeah, fails.
vote.
Yeah, fails to be approved, and the next step for them is either to resubmit or like appeal within 30 days, and
Okay.
you can contact our office and like guide you through the process.
Okay. All right. Appreciate it very much. If you need questions on the appeal process, feel free to reach out. Okay. Thank you. All right. Let's move on. Next item on the agenda is item B, Cedar Bell Wedding Chapel CUP. Staff, if you would, please, with your report.
Thank you very much. A conditional use permit is sought for a wedding event chapel on the property owner's farm. The site is located in the Goshen planning area off of Edgewood Drive, south of Highway 45. Primary elements consist of a 7,600 square foot event center and a 2,400 square foot chapel, and providing 109 parking spaces and 5 ADA spaces. The overall improved area is sort of 19 acres. To this date, we've heard no comments from neighbors and no technical concerns.
Thank you. I would like to state for the record, I am also a member of the City of Goshen Planning Commission, so I've been involved at another level on this project. I have toured the project. I don't see that there's any issue there, but I want to make record that I am part of another planning commission that has jurisdiction over this project.
Noted. Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you. All right, is the applicant here? We could please hear a summary of the project.
Jeff Bates with Bates and Associates. We did the site design. The owner is also here, and architect, if you have questions about the business or the building. It's pretty much just what he stated, an event center and wedding chapel. It's out in the middle of a huge field, so where it's not messing with anybody. I mean, that's probably why there's been no complaints from the neighbors yet. So it's going to be a really nice wedding venue. And if you have any other questions, more detailed.
Appreciate it. Owner, architect, anybody have anything they want to present at this time? Okay. Questions of the applicant from the board? Okay. Seeing none, I'll open it up to public comment. If there's anybody here that would like to make public comment on this item? Seeing none, I'll close it to public comment and bring it back to the board.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the Cedar Bell Wedding Chapel CUP as presented.
Have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Great. All right, let's move on. With the CUP being approved, now we're going to look at the pre-large-scale development for the same project. Staff?
Bates and Associates provided a full set of civil site plans. Highlighted our details for parking, including ADA accessibility to the southeast of the event center, primary parking to the south and west, consisting of a little over 100 spots. For utilities, there would be underground water and electric, obviously, extending northeasterly from the point of ingress. Proposes 1-inch water service and septic to the north and west of the facility. I feel I should bring up the planning considerations that are pretty uniform that should have been covered in the CUP, but I accidentally got out of line.
Please do.
The CUP is for a wedding chapel, event center. Any deviation requires coming before the planning board. Architectural plans need to be provided to the fire marshal for checkoff. Any further questions during technical review must be addressed before final approval.
They're working on it.
Limit outdoor events, limit outdoor amplified music to avoid disturbance to any neighbors if there are any neighbors. And maintain reasonable hours of operation. Provide adequate screening to ensure privacy to adjacent neighbors, and any further changes, developments, et cetera, need to come before the planning board.
Thank you, sir. Any questions of staff on this? Good. Okay, back to the applicant. Anything you want to add as this part?
Not unless you have any questions.
Okay. Architect, owner, any presentations? Okay. Back to the board. Questions, comments, motions?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the large-scale development pre-LSD for the Cedar Bell Wedding Chapel per comments of staff.
Subject to comments. Staff.
Subject, yeah.
We got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion and second. Any other questions or comments? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Congratulations. Okay. Next on the item, next item on the agenda is other business. Discussion of current planning.
We're still working on it.
Still working on it. Okay. Next meeting is June 8th, 2023. Anything else for the good of the order for the group? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Have a good night, guys. Thank you so much.